What's up, everybody? This is Husbands Know Better. I'm Ben Husband. It's my brother Daniel Husband, our dad Daryl Husband. We're here to talk some NBA playoffs today. So starting off this week, we're going to be talking about the Lakers Timberwolves matchup and what's gone down so far in this series. I think we had all picked the Lakers to win this straight up. I had them in six. I think we said Daniel had them in five. Dad, you had them maybe sweeping. Uh, it has not gone that way at all. So the Lakers
Husbands
just
do not
won.
always know better. Our wives remind us that regularly.
Uh,
Yep.
so Lakers just lost their third game to the Timberwolves in Minnesota. It was a close game, but one of the things that we're seeing so far is that Luka is not having the impact on the Lakers that we thought he would. So their ability to close out these games, while some of them have been tight, it almost seems like at the end they're petering out. I think this past game we had multiple Lakers that were posting 44, 45. I think I saw Luca played 46 minutes this past game, and certainly it's tiring them out. When we look over, you gonna say something, Dad?
Yeah, I was going to say that the five that were on the floor at the end of the game played the entire second half. Not a single substitution was made by JJ Redick. So all five of those guys, Finney Smith, Reeves, Luca, LeBron, and Rui, all had all 24 minutes in the second half.
Yep. So getting the oxygen masks out there, especially for LeBron. Who knows? He's still standing up. Uh,
Amazing.
couple of things I was going to mention. So looking at the series, Luca's plus minus is minus 19, which actually tracks pretty closely to the point differential across the three games. Interestingly, LeBron's is minus 27, which is much lower. And I was going to make a note that the turnover difference between the two teams. So Lakers have a total of 58 turnovers compared to the T-Wolves 43. Of the Lakers turnovers, Luca has 18 of them. He's almost got a third. So
That is
he,
because of usage, though. I mean, he really does. When you watch their sets, they are moving everything through Luca. Luca has the ball. LeBron will probably play to 50 if Luca's still on his team because he doesn't have to hold the ball that much. Luca is just sucking it in, and he facilitates it. Don't get me wrong, but So the 18 turnovers, 4 games. That's not horrific. Not like
He's just paying homage to his old coach.
oh, okay. Wait a minute. If we're gonna make a homage to Nico Harrison, I have the first ever husbands know better prop. I am Nico Harrison. Hi.
Hi, Nico.
I just wanted to. Sorry.
That was impromptu. That was great.
Oh my gosh. I
So I mean, the only,
I
especially with the Lakers being down right now, 1-3, it's going to give him some vindication. But you have to look at Anthony Davis and his history of missing games. And he's 6 years older than Luca. So he's on the downturn of his peak, if not out of his peak years. And Luca's just hitting his peak years. So I totally get the frustration. The thing with Nico is he's made some really good moves. He got PJ Washington, he got Daniel Gafford, he put that lineup in that took him to all the way to the finals where, yeah, we beat them, but I mean, everyone was thinking that they had built something. And then you throw away their main cog in the machine.
I'm gonna pause. So really quick, I'm gonna just pause the Nico talk really quick because I do want to revisit that. But I want to go back to what we were talking about, mentioning is with Luca and his struggles. Something that does need to be pointed out is that team was never designed with Luca in mind. At the beginning of the season, they weren't, oh gosh, Pelinka wasn't sitting there and just being like, okay, guys, so here's the deal. We're designing this team. And in February, we're going to have a massive steal of a trade and we're going to get Luka Doncic. That's not what happened. So that team isn't set up to be that way. So that's why I'm taking a lot of his stats with a grain of salt. Not giving him, not justifying and apologizing for Luka, but just putting this like thought process out there. The only big they have is Jackson Hayes, and he has been such a non-factor with the playoffs. He played 6 minutes,
for tonight.
and oh, he played
Played
four.
four
Oh,
today.
oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I thought he played.
6 minutes in game three.
I thought it
Yeah,
said
he's
maybe I
starting,
was
but
thinking of game three.
he's there for the
He
jump
starts,
ball. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and then they just wait for the first dead ball. Yeah, and Dorian and they have DFS playing center pretty much, which is terrifying. That's not what you should be doing. So when you take all that into consideration, like you do have to take, yeah, you do have to, be like, okay, I see where some shortcomings are happening. I'm not, I'm not saying like, oh, this isn't Luka's fault, da 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 da. I mean, hold the ball, pass the ball better. Don't dribble it off your foot. I know he's not doing that, but like, protect the ball a little bit better. But that is a point I did want to make in regards to the Lakers. Just they don't have a in-depth team built for it. I mean, this was a team that was in an absolute disaster mode prior to them getting Luka. And the only reason why they're not in disaster mode is because they got Luka, and he puts a lifespan on that team for 10 years. So
That's a good call out
I
about the especially the center situation too, because with Anthony Davis being able to fill out that position a little better, I actually feel like that's
they
where
didn't
the
have to worry about it.
Timberwolves, yeah, that's where the Timberwolves are taking advantage because they've got two guys that they can play at center and they're subbing them in and out. They're only having to play, 20, 25 minutes apiece.
But the thing is Rudy Gobert until this last game has been a total non-factor.
I saw he's averaging like 4 points a game
Okay,
for the
well he had
playoffs
10.
for these
He had
series.
10 today, but he had what was it 6, 2, and 1. The other
That's what I'm
three
saying. Is
games,
like the playoff
it's
series, he's averaging nothing.
Yeah,
so
he's
he's
not.
and there's rebounding. He's been awful at.
But that's why they have
It's
Nas Reed, though. That's why they have Nas Reed, and you
well,
can
right, but I mean, you're talking about having to deal with all of these center dominance, and it's really not that much of a dominance. And so I don't think Finney Smith is really being stretched that much. I think that once Nas Reed goes in, they're matching up fairly well. I'm trying to remember who Finney Smith was guarding. Was he guarding Reed or was it LeBron? I think it was LeBron guarding him today.
wait. Hold on. Who was guarding who?
LeBron was guarding Nas Reed
Got it.
in the
Okay.
game.
Got it. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, Gobert is not in at the end of the game.
No. No,
It's
he's never going to be in at the end of the game. Do you want him taking your last shot? Ooh.
So
or shooting free throws. He's just as bad at that.
my point here is not that it's Gobert that's owning them, but it's the fact that they can spread him around a little bit, and he's not. Naz Reid is not having to play 35 minutes a game, but when he comes in at the end, he's fresh, and then he can play well because Gobert's already soaked up a lot of the defensive time in the front end of the game.
Okay, that's an interesting point. That's interesting.
Yep.
I'm still floored that with the rebounding, that like today was his first game with 10 rebounds, with double-digit rebounds out of 4. Yeah. You're the 3-time defensive player of the year. You're the biggest guy in the NBA, I think, if not close, and you can't get 10 rebounds. In fact, you had 3 in what was it? It's 6, 5.
Yeah, to be fair, he is only playing
I missed
about
it.
20 to 25 minutes a game, which I mean, should be plenty of time to rack up those stats. But yeah,
He is
I'm with
getting a
you.
max contract. You do not give a max contract to a guy that's going to play you 25 minutes a game.
And that contract is an extension. It starts this year. He's got 3 years of 36, 37 million. So I don't know what they were thinking of. Really don't. Not
I
a
mean,
not a fan.
it's a
And he got a flagrant foul today. He they were on the foul line, and he cross-armed LeBron across the head as LeBron is boxing him out for the rebound, and they gave him a flagrant for it. And it's like,
but here's the deal though. If you can take a player out of a series with that kind of attitude, then that's money well spent. I'm being completely sarcastic on that statement.
okay, I thought you were serious. I really did.
No, gosh. Well, I mean, like, oh, come on. You can't say it's never crossed your mind when, I don't know, let's say last year you guys are playing, when you guys are playing, the Mavericks in the championship, and you're just sitting there being like, if Sam Hauser just goes in and punches Luka in the throat as hard as he possibly can, we can just sweep them and just have a nice, easy series.
Okay,
Yeah. Spot you one game instead of massive penalty
Yeah.
and fine and
yeah, no,
Just slip him a ring slip Sam Hauser the ring while he's in what do you call it when you gotta remove yourself from society because everybody's trying to kill you?
jail,
No,
go
so
into hiding, witness
isolation.
protection.
yeah, witness protection.
Yeah.
That's it.
So what do you think? What do you think with what's left of the series? So game switches back to LA. Do you think that LA takes another game? Do
Yeah,
you think Minnesota wraps it up?
it's not like it's not like it's like they got blown out tonight. It was a close game.
Lakers
um
were up 10 at the beginning of the fourth quarter.
yeah,
So
and they're going back to LA. It's gonna be a hornet's nest there.
yeah, I think LA takes game 5. Minnesota, for game 6.
You got to come
I
in.
think
You
LA's
got to
gonna,
punch.
I think LA's going to pull it out. I'm totally rooting against them, but I think LA will pull it out.
Nice.
We'll see.
That's a hotter take that Ben's Bulls making it to the playoffs take.
Oh God.
Hey, I will say this: there's only been one 3-1 comeback, and the player that did it is on the 1-3 team right now.
Yep.
So I mean, he may be a billion years old, but oh man, LeBron is still LeBron. LeBron's still Kim LeBron.
He was amazing today. He was absolutely amazing. I can't say enough good things about him. 27, 12, and 8.
And he was going to be your second round pick next year for fantasy basketball.
We'll see.
He looks great for how old he is, and it's amazing to see too how they managed to lock up Luka, and it's almost like they're set for the future now. So how bad does this look on Nico Harrison's comments from this past week? You put your bag on your head. Uh, hey, hey guys, I didn't realize how beloved Luka was or how good he was.
Yep. I didn't know that he was this important to the city of Dallas. And
I mean, that's just the most disconnected thing you could ever possibly say.
he,
I, I still think he's just trying to save face here, but also
he's got to get
just
off.
clueless.
Don't get in front of the cameras. Just go away. Go somewhere else. Your season's done, so you shouldn't be talking to anybody.
Yep, you're right. If you want this thing to die, if you want everybody to forget about it, that is not the thing that you say to people
Have a
when
good
asked.
off season, make some moves,
Yep.
and stop pissing your fans off. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know what to
There's
say.
enough GMs who don't say a single word. You never hear. I don't hear Brad Stevens. I mean, here's the guy that I could probably listen to all the time. I never hear him talking about, well, Jason Tatum, this, that, whatever. He just, you don't hear him talking. And this is the NBA reigning champions.
Zach Kleiman talks on twice a year. Technically 3 times a year. End of the year, beginning of the year, middle of the year. You get 3 times Zach Kleiman, and that's it. And then you got one quote from him after the Grizzlies fired Jenkins, and he just said, "It was my decision alone." That was it. Like, yeah, like what you said, Dad. Like you're not here to feed the people. You're here to make a basketball team.
Yep.
I you know it I don't know if we've talked about this before too, but it's kind of funny because he makes a comment like that, and they Mavs ownership decided to raise ticket prices, and then they're sitting here wondering why their revenue is down after this season.
It's going
And
to
it's
plummet
like,
now. It's
how
they,
disconnect how disconnected are you with this? Like,
jersey sales will be down. People's interest will be down. I can't say that attendance will be down.
I don't know, man. I don't think it's gonna. I I don't know. I think the attendance isn't gonna be pretty next year because Kyrie's still not gonna be back. He
Less
Yeah.
appealing team
probably
for
won't play
sure.
next year. And if he comes back, it's going to be for the last 10 games, and they're going to be hoping and praying they're in the playoff hunt. And if you can get Kyrie back for a play-in game, cool. But are you going to make it in the second round? And are you going to make it out of the first round?
Maybe he thinks that he was successful with Gafford and PJ Washington, and he can pull someone out of free agency this year. I don't know. They need guard play. They really do.
I mean, say what I mean. We've been ripping on this guy, but I mean, this trade doesn't happen unless you have ownership splashing. Like it's the thing that needs to be that
I
we all
think
know.
with their direction, he's never going to say it. He'll never say it.
Yep.
But they didn't want to pay him $70 million a year. They didn't want to pay Lucas $70 million a year.
Yeah,
And
which
that,
is
Got what you didn't pay for.
yep.
mhm.
So exactly, you got what you didn't pay for. Well,
Yep.
would it been?
Yep. TBD. All right, let's talk about another interesting matchup. Let's move on to Rockets Warriors. So this one's been, I think, a little bit of a surprise. Certainly, the series was up in the air. I was thinking that the Warriors were going to fold mainly because of how they did at the end of the season. They were not looking as good as they were right after acquiring Jimmy. But last night they won without Jimmy Butler on the court. Steph turns back the clock and just basically shows that he has been here before. He's done this. He knows what he's doing. And this Rockets team, all of a sudden, they're looking like the youthful group that they are, who they're very talented, but they haven't been to the playoffs before, and it shows. I did pull a fun fact. So Warriors are in the bottom half of the league in defensive rating post Butler trade. So carry that over into the playoffs. Looking at what they are doing,
Wait,
Well,
Ben,
they're in the
wait,
flip that
say that
around.
back.
Ben.
You
They're
said
in
they are in
the
the bottom half of defense post Butler trade.
I'm
post
sorry.
Butler trade. They're up in like the top, for sure, the top 10. I know that.
Sorry about that. I had my notes backwards. So what they're doing right now is they're without Butler, they're living and dying by the three, which is ironically the thing that they've done for a lot of years, and that's how they've won some of their championships. So I guess the question for you guys here is what do the Rockets do heading into Game 4 to keep themselves alive?
Um, shoot the
I
ball
can.
more. You go,
Well,
Dad.
not more, just better. They miss
Yeah,
constantly. Last night's game, Sengun off the front of the rim. Amen Thompson, a layup blown. It's they
I got a
miss.
question.
They're okay. Go ahead.
I got a question for you guys. Who's their leading scorer during this playoff run?
Sengun.
Sangoon. Um, Shangoon is averaging 19.2 points, and if I'm not mistaken, Jalen Green is averaging 18.6. You are not winning a playoff series if your two best players are averaging under 20 points.
And really, Jalen Green had that one game 38 with 38 points. The other ones, he's been really quiet. Yesterday, he missed a
And
ton.
he's shooting, and this is so Jalen Green is shooting 39% from field goal, and that is what their team average is too. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, it's okay because it kind of blends or leads
proves the
into what I
point.
was going to say is they are a sloppy looking group of kids. They have a ton of energy. They are up and down. They're the floor. They are. It seems like they get this shot up really quickly, but the thing is they're missing easy shots. You can see them in the flow of their offense that they're not polished. They're kind of bumping into each other. Again, it's like a bunch of teenage boys bumping into each other, in high school, just because they've got too much energy and it's not focused. And the
But before
Warriors,
Udoka got there, they were referred to as the AU team because it was just all like, okay, you go. Okay, now I go. Okay, yeah, I'll go now.
that sounds probably right. And Udoka's got them playing great defense. I think they are really physical. Someone's going to get hurt playing that team because with all of their unfocused energy or misdirected energy, they're going to hurt someone. And I hope it's not. I don't even want it to happen to Draymond. I really don't. But
That'd be ironic.
but they need a couple more years. What a great year for them. I think I had Golden State in 6. I think that's going to be about right.
I think I think another factor, I think what they were able to capitalize on was Şengün is a great big, but the Warriors are able to just slap Draymond Green on him and just completely disrupt him. And that's a big hurt for him. Draymond Green's gonna struggle if you put him against Jokic or the bigger centers,
He,
your big
he's admitted
hulking
that.
guys.
He, honestly, he's pretty good against Giannis, but he's even admitted he's got no answer for Jokic. None.
Yeah. But in regards to Şengün, like, I mean, Şengün's a bigger guy, but he doesn't have the muscle that Jokic has, and he doesn't have the craft that Jokic has. I'm just, I'm not comparing their games. I'm just, making a point
No, but
that,
you're right. You're exactly right.
yeah,
And he's a good
that's,
passer. He is a good passer.
yeah.
But Jokic is the best in the world in the NBA right now.
Actually, I
And
heard somebody compare. I heard somebody. I got to do the back work for this one, but I heard somebody say that Şengün was actually more of a Sabonis comparison than a Jokic comparison.
you're talking Arvidas, though, right? You're not
No,
talking.
Demonitas actually.
Oh, really?
Hmm. Yeah, I
'Cause I
gotta
could
I gotta look
see.
at I gotta look into that a little bit more. But I heard somebody make that comparison. I was like, huh.
I would say for the passing, I'd agree with that. But as far as a body type, maybe not.
I gotta look into it a little bit
Way
more to
skinnier,
confirm
I
with that
think.
comparison.
Yeah, but maybe.
It was an interesting comparison since we're
Sabonis
going back and forth between that and Jokic.
Sabonis doesn't work well as being like the number one scorer. He's kind of your number two guy. Lots of pick and rolls, some facilitating. Şengün, kind of like you guys were just talking about, he's not scoring 20 points a game right now, which is, where you need him to step up. I could see a little bit of comparison there, but
And that's what I was gonna say too. I think that's what's crippling the team that badly is that they need Jalen Green to be that like 25. He needs to be a 25 per game scorer, and he just can't. If not, obviously more if they could. He's too streaky, and he's a great basketball player. I have my issues with him personally, but like he has the ability to shoot the lights out. But when you're in the playoffs, streakiness does not translate well. And I just feel like making Grizzlies connection. Dylan Brooks is the reason why Dylan Brooks is on the Rockets right now is because he shot us out of playoff series. And you know, yeah, you can say we needed Dylan Brooks this year. I will not disagree with that one. But when it came to the playoffs, much
first
like
round exit
like
would really seal that for the Grizzlies and trading them away if the Rockets lose to the Warriors. Yep.
I, you know, it Jalen Green, like I said, 39% shooting, and he has the ability of shooting the team out of games. And I don't think Udoka would let him do that. But I mean, he's the most prolific scorer on there. And
Maybe, well, prolific.
sorry, I'm most talented. Let me say most talented.
I don't know. Um, you're right though. The shooting percentage is what's killing Green. It goes back to Iverson type of thing. Yeah, he's
Yes.
a career 41% shooter, but he just shoots a ton and just keeps on shooting. Well,
Mhm.
a lot of guys can if you give them the green light. You know.
Again, hence why Dylan Brooks is a part of the Rockets now, is because Ja goes down. All right, time to play hero ball. Let's just shoot until one goes in.
Yeah.
Well,
Nope.
and some guys you need them to do that, but if you're not the A-list guy like Curry, to just keep firing away, even if you're missing, you're just damaging the team.
And that's another point too. Curry for this series is averaging 29 points. So the best scorer
Uh,
on the Warriors is averaging 29 points, and the best scorer for the Rockets is averaging 10 less. That's a
yeah.
problem.
Yeah. No, I agree. And Jimmy has been, he's awesome in game one. Unfortunately, with getting injured, I think they just threw away game two. I think they just gave it up. Pod's only played, less than 30 minutes. Steph was 6 for 15. I think once they saw the writing on the wall, they just pulled the plug.
I think I heard something that Pods was actually sick or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Which,
Do it.
if you're hacking up a lung that day, run up and down a court isn't your best friend.
Nope.
Yep.
Nope.
Um, I'll leave it with this. I think the Rockets' chance of like winning this series went away last night. Honestly,
Yep. I agree.
they like
Totally agree.
if you that was your time to strike, is to beat them when they didn't have Butler. And I think losing that game without Butler and just having Green work over Şengün and just seeing the shortcomings where it is, like, yeah, like, let's give the Rockets their flowers. Like, we never even talking about Amin Thompson. Like, are you like, he's been amazing this year. His development has been great. He's a bright spot of that team. But hey, they're a young team. They're a young team that's on their first playoff push, and it's being revealed, unfortunately. And they are gonna probably peter out because they weren't able to go and capture that really needed win
One thing
in
that
Golden
was
State.
one thing that was interesting yesterday was that Golden State started Quentin Post. Don't know the guy at all, but he fit right into that offense. He was passing. He just passing the ball around just like it was Klay Thompson. He looked like he was just molded right into it. So that's another sign of a very prepared team. Coaching, Steve Kerr's excellent. Got a lot of respect for him.
Certainly the ability to fill in easily for your second best player on the team
Yep,
and still eke out a win. Yeah, that's some solid coaching right there for sure.
And poor Jonathan Kaminga is just sitting there being like, "Hey, can I get some more playing time?"
he's done. He's done.
Oh
Stick
man,
a fork in him. He's done.
when you can't get I mean, he's doing the best he can with the time he's getting. But like, when you can't get proper playing time when Jimmy Butler's out, it's time to start looking for a new home.
Yep, they're gonna let him go.
Oh, such a shame.
Yep,
But hey, got to do what you got to do to win.
yep, yep.
All right, one last topic before we wrap up. Dad, I think you got some things to say about Knicks Pistons, and I've heard it's not JB Bickerstaff related.
I
Okay,
don't believe it.
I wasn't gonna say his name since you said his name, Ben. I won't. Okay,
Oh, I
but
thought you were gonna say, since you said it first, I get to say it now.
nope. I promised you I wouldn't say it. But uh, today's game, just a real quick interjection. Josh Hart did foul Tim Hardaway Jr. on that final shot. Hit the side of his body. The refs didn't call it. The overseeing body of refs who evaluate the game did say that was an error. The problem with the game well, not problem, but it's a physical game, and the refs were letting them go at each other. Saw Josh Hart go face down, face planted. It, I'm, he's going to get hurt one of these days, really hurt.
I can't believe more guys have not been hurt in this particular series with the stuff that they're letting fly. Honestly, that foul at the end of the game, I wasn't surprised they didn't call it with the other stuff that they've been
Oh,
letting slide.
I didn't think it was any big deal. Unless you can hear that slap, where a hand hits an arm, they weren't calling anything.
I will say though, like watching the play back over again, I was sitting there and I was just like, I don't know. Like I was like, yeah, that definitely looked like a foul.
Yeah.
Like, just going by what the standards are for a foul as.
I feel like that whole series has not been consistent with what the standards are for a foul, though. It's getting a little
In,
off the
in the
rails.
entire
Sure.
NBA, you mean? Because I mean, it's just, and it's just like the '80s and '90s basketball with the Pistons and the Knicks.
It is.
They were
Come full
they were the
circle.
bad boy teams. They really were
Yep.
duking it out.
80s and
I
90s
just
are back,
wanted to
folks.
I was gonna say this when Nick or when the Pistons took game two. It just went this thought went in my head. Let's just theorize for a quick second. Let's say because he did go down. If Brunson gets injured for the series, out for the series, and the Knicks lose in the first round, does Thibodeau get fired? I would say we have to consider it.
Poor Tibbs.
I like
I
Tibbs. I
can't give
think
you
I
an
like his
answer.
coaching.
Um, well, fortunately, it looks like they're going to win it. I mean, yes, I do like his coaching, and I find it funny that he has Cat on his team but he needed Cat. He needed someone who was a locked-in scorer. Julius Randle wasn't that for the Knicks, but he's been great in Minnesota this series. Um, so Cat was what they needed for offense. Can Tibbs put it? The problem is he's going to run into us in the next series, which I better be careful about that. We were only up 3 at the end of the first quarter today.
Let's do a check.
Quick check
Where
on the
are we
Celtics.
at?
Oh, up by 5. That's looking
We're
good.
up in third quarter.
Yes.
I've got 66-62 with 5 minutes and 22 seconds left in the third.
Okay.
And I believe Tatum is playing.
Yes.
Yes.
He played the last game too, which was a surprise that we lost. But just going back to the Pistons and the Knicks, Colin Cowherd was saying very confidently, best player in this series is Cade Cunningham. And I listened too much to him. I got to be honest. I listened too much to him. And I started thinking, yeah, he's really solid. He's really improved the game. That being on the, playing the majority of the game, majority of the season this year. Yeah, I could see that. And then Jalen Brunson went out, and the Knicks lost their lead. Pistons went ahead. Brunson comes back in, and they win the game. And
not to mention Cade missed that wide open shot from
yeah,
the foul line. He should have hit that. I don't know. That was a solid look, and he missed.
Brunson had 32 and 11, 5 rebounds, but 11 assists. He's the engine that makes that team go. He's the best player in that series. Sorry, Colin. Maybe next year Cade will.
I was gonna say, I think Cade's ascension this year has been excellent. It's been great watching him grow, but we already know what Brunson's been doing the last few years. This is Cade's first year doing this. Let's slow down crowning him. I love what Cade's doing.
Detroit plays just like Houston. There are a bunch of kids running around, lots of energy. I know Tobias Harris is there and Tim Hardaway Jr., but Jalen Duren and Cade Cunningham, they're still a bunch of kids, and they just need a lot of refining. Cade's not as sharp of a passer, doesn't make as good a cuts as, well, I hate to pick this person, but Steph. I saw such a difference between Golden State and the way they played their offense and Houston and the way they played theirs. And it just reminded me of Detroit, trickling it down back to Detroit. Bunch of kids just need some time.
Yep.
I will say this though. I was it's insane. They are still missing Jaden Ivey.
Yep.
He's a young blood, but
Yep.
It's crazy.
We'll see what they're like when he comes back next year.
All right. On that note, everybody, thanks for listening to Husbands Know Better. Have a great night.